Simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and we'd be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Good evening and welcome to No Judgment here. I am your host, Tish Ross. I wonder when you hear the words addiction or addict, alcoholism or alcoholic, what runs through your mind? Are you in a relationship with someone who struggles with addiction? Are you yourself an alcoholic and you cannot seem to figure out how on earth you can find the strength to stop? Maybe you're in denial and say to yourself, I don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol. I can stop whenever I want to, but I just haven't made the decision to do so. Yet it is affecting your relationships, your self-worth, self-image, self-confidence, self-esteem, possibly affecting your job, your spouse or significant other, your children, and you don't even know it because, believe it or not, it is. An addict or alcoholic's addictions do not just affect the addict or alcoholic. It affects those around them. I want you to meet Jacob Rosario. He is 52 days sober today. Congratulations,
Thank
Jacob,
you.
and welcome,
Thanks.
welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. And again, as we were sharing and chatting earlier about today's show, I am just so humbled. I don't know if I can express enough how grateful to God that I am to have blessed me with a platform for men and women to come on and to share their stories, being raw, being themselves. And hence the reason why I chose the title No Judgment here, because there is not any here. I feel like when people are transparent and vulnerable is when they're really actually helping other people. When the minute we say it are open and honest and real, then someone else is going to say, oh my God, I feel that same way. I'm so grateful that this person, he or she, said that. Now I don't feel alone. And so that's the whole reason why I do this show. We are not doctors. We are just here to share our personal stories of struggles and recoveries or not. And Jacob is here to share his. So, Jacob, I'm going to let you take the floor. And but with this first question, is you're 52 days sober, and I just want to know why you wanted to come on and share your story.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you for having me.
Mhm.
And before we get into this, I know people are watching live on Facebook and listening in. So if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll make sure I'll answer that.
Mhm.
But the main reason for me wanting to come and share my story and maybe answer some questions for people is that I'm at a point in my life where I realized what addiction and alcohol has done to my life and how it's affected me. And I've also, with bettering myself and going to rehab and being 52 days sober, there's a story that everyone has. And mine in particular and how I'm dealing with it is something that I think a lot would resonate with.
Mhm.
And I don't want to miss on an opportunity to help others,
Mhm.
as well as give people the opportunity to ask questions that they don't really get the real answer to, not the medical side of it,
Right.
but the actual side from someone who's dealt with it and dealing with it at the same time.
Mhm. I love that. And that's what we need, because a doctor can see a million alcoholics and provide the same, which I'm sure are good. I'm not saying that they're not, but can get sort of, I don't, complacent maybe, or just know that this is a plan that works for most people. So they can just see a million alcoholics and say, here's what you need to do. But when the story comes from the alcoholic themselves, the recovering alcoholic, more people can relate, I feel, because some of your story or their story could be mirror images of one another. Yet one person has made it a little further in their sobriety, or the other one may be stuck.
Mhm.
And so I think it's I'm going to say most helpful when people hear from someone who is actually going through alcoholism or an addict. So tell me a little bit about your childhood, and then I want to know what started your alcoholism.
Okay, perfect. So I won't spend too much time on this section of it, just so that we can get to the deeper stuff. What I will say is, my name is Jacob Rosario. I'm an alcoholic. I'm originally from West Hartford, Connecticut. Um, I'm now a Fort Worth native. I've been here since 2012. Um, my childhood was interesting. Very loving family, huge family, supportive family. Um, Lots of cousins, siblings, uncles, aunts. It was normal. It was a normal childhood to me growing up. I did all the things that normal kids do. Supported by my parents, and I feel like I lived a normal and very graceful childhood. My parents protected me. They did what they could to make sure we were safe, and we were always educated in the best school system wherever we lived. Played sports, got to do things like, prom and homecoming and things like that. They always kept, well fed, well dressed. So I was blessed. I had a blissful, compared to a lot of children today, I was very blessed to have the family I had, as well as, the lifestyle growing up. With that being said, as a kid and just my whole life, and I think many people can relate to this, is that alcohol was one of those things that was everywhere. It was celebrated for birthdays. It was used deaths, celebrations of life, birthday parties, graduations, any accomplishment.
Mhm.
was associated with alcohol. Any party, family reunion, any gathering, alcohol. Fairs, Chuck E. Cheese had alcohol.
Mhm.
So my whole life, I've witnessed people drinking, and there was no issue because people, at least I didn't see the issue in most people's lives.
Mhm.
I did get to witness issues and some relatives' lives and friends' lives and people that I've grown to know. And as I got older, I've learned the how alcohol can really mess up your life. So before I knew it, what I witnessed in life growing up, related to alcohol, I did not even know until, now that I'm realizing it, is that I was just storing all this knowledge of how to get away with things, how to drink, what to drink, when to drink, how to lie and manipulate. Because although back then people were doing things around me, or that I've maybe not my family, but people that I've seen at a restaurant or seen at a party, they're drinking, but they're driving.
Mm.
I feel good, so I'm good to drive. They're they're drinking or they're arguing with people. They're drinking or they're lying to people about stuff. You start to pick up these keys, and you don't even know that you're doing it. It's by association. You just
Mhm.
see, and you're storing it and you're storing it. So before I was even able to drink or buy my own alcohol, I was an expert at what to do and when to do it and how to do it.
Mhm.
So I think my first sip of alcohol, I was a kid, and I will not forget my dad used to drink Coors Light,
Mhm.
and you have a party, they leave the cans out, and I think I sipped off the little bit of leftovers, probably half his spit, but you take a sip, you drink a little sip off the top of the
Right.
can, and I remember going, ugh, that's disgusting. I don't know how you people drink. It's just gross. I hate that. I'm never gonna drink.
Mhm.
And sure enough, as I get older, I start getting a little sneakier on things that I try or take sips that nobody has a clue. I don't even know if my family or my siblings even know. My
Mm.
brother probably knows majority of the times that I've snuck alcohol or drank here and there. But as I got into middle school, things started to get easily accessible, not carelessly, but other friends and their parents
Yes.
leaving things in the open that they don't think their child's going to get a hold of.
Mhm.
And sure enough, as growing up, my age of kids got very clever in what they did and how they did it. Alcohol became a big thing for me in high school. Um, we would do things like, someone would sneak in a water bottle full of vodka, and it would go around the whole room, and people would just be, drunk in high school, and everyone thought it was hilarious and funny.
Mhm.
And at the time, I was partaking in this stuff, not knowing what effect it'll have on me later.
Mhm.
But I was in the moment, I'm in high school, I'm having fun. This is what high schoolers do. But is it really what high schoolers do, or is it really what an idiot who's following other people do?
Mm. Mhm.
Because I've seen it my whole life, so it can't hurt. It can't hurt me right now. I'm in high school, and if I get caught, I'll get a slap on the hand, attention, maybe expelled. But I never got caught.
Mhm.
So when you don't get caught doing something, you just learn, and if you keep doing it, and if you get caught, you learn how to not get caught. So that led to the random high school parties. I was a football player, so I played football and got to go to the sports parties, and just I was very funny and sociable, and I just joked with everyone. I was going to every party drinking.
Mhm.
I had some friends. I will not disclose names, but I was invited to college parties at an early age, drinking, playing beer pong, doing all that stuff. And here I am now associating drinking with beautiful women, everyone just loving to see you, the life of the party. And there I go. Now that's that trend.
Mhm.
Fast forward a little bit, I get to college. Aside from all the beer drinking I did in high school, and then the beer drinking mixed in with some alcohol, now I'm in college where I have a little job at GameStop. I'm making a little money. I'm getting money back from my FAFSA. Instead of using that money for paying off tuition or
Mhm.
buying books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using it for, a bottle of Burnett's, some cheap vodka and a Four Loko on top of the beer that I'm already drinking before going out. So that got worse, and that led me to quit the football team because I was cocky and I was, oh, I'm going to do this and that, and no one's going to tell me anything. I was on top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
People loved me. I was great at drinking. Was amazing at drinking games, but that pays so well. And then it felt like life was going downhill. So I decided to join the military. I needed structure. But with that, I just joined one of the biggest frats in the country,
Mm-hmm.
the Marine Corps. And I love the Corps, but there's a lot of drinking that's going on there. And if you don't know how to do it responsibly, you are in for a rude awakening. And sure enough, that's when I caught 2 charges that I don't understand how I beat those cases. I got a DUI that I beat. I was clearly intoxicated. Don't remember how I got home. I remember getting to the base and flashing lights behind me, and then that was it. I don't remember the drive home or anything. I also got arrested for a interference with an arrest and a possible assault on an officer because I was drunk and tried to stop someone from getting arrested.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay because I got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no problem. I got forced to go to rehab twice in the military because of those incidents. I did 90 meetings in 90 days. I was about a year sober because I was forced to. So as I got out, I had to transfer into civilian life. And I'll try to speed this up real quick. I had started making more money and more money and more money. And I'm on my own here in Texas. So I'm meeting new friends,
Mm-hmm.
doing new things. And more money led to more alcohol, more friends related to alcohol. Now I'm doing things that necessarily I probably wouldn't do if I wasn't drunk,
Right.
or places I wouldn't go if I wasn't drunk. And the amount of liquor that I consumed this past year is disgusting, financially and just physically, just disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into that more later, but it just every day, every week, every month, every year, the alcohol just became more and more of a problem. And nobody's seen it as a problem because I was good at what I did. I was a good drinker. And so I never really seemed drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was drunk, I was blacked out or wasted in the eyes of other people. And no one really knew what was going on with me, behind closed doors,
Right.
when I'm not next to anyone. So the drinking was always an issue. It was a matter of when I was going to find out that it was an issue for myself,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody else was calling me out of my shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the only person who could fix you is you.
Right.
And so that was the big thing for that.
And so you say that, or you said that no one knew what was going on behind closed doors. What was going on behind closed doors?
A lonely man, a depressed man. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and my whole life I had to learn how to deal with problems, because you're told as a man, hide your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
suck it up,
Mm-hmm.
and keep going, because that's what makes you a man. Don't let anyone see your drama. Don't let anyone see your pain. Don't let anyone see your emotion, because they're going to use it against you and they're going to hurt you. So I was good at that. I was good at substituting pain with laughter.
Mm-hmm.
I was good at hiding, my insecurities with distractions. And then you dabble alcohol on top of that, and I just become a fun person. I'm just a fun person to party with. So there was a lot going on with me mentally and emotionally that I never really talked about with anybody or decided to even go into, because I didn't see it as a problem, because I locked it all away.
Mm-hmm.
I was so good at locking everything away. Finances, my pain, my struggles. No one really knew what was going on deep down inside, because I was that good at locking it down. People may say they know, oh, I knew something was wrong with you, but you don't.
Right.
You never did.
Right.
Because if you did and you really respected me or cared about me, you would have said something. So if you do care about me and you think you knew, you really didn't. Because if you did know to the extent of what it was,
Right.
you would have said something.
And that's the kind of people that we all need in our lives, not just an alcoholic, not just an addict, but people that will call us out,
Mhm.
hold us accountable. And one of the things that when we were chatting earlier, one of the things that you had shared was when I asked you, when did you finally decide that enough was enough, that you decided to check yourself into rehab? What was the incident that happened when you went to a party that was in Miami?
I had so I went to a trip for someone's birthday in Miami. But prior to that, I had been on the worst 3 months of my life of dealing with just tons of shit that no one knew about, on top of all the drinking that I did and all the money that was spent on drinking. I think I spent, this is not an exaggeration, anywhere between $15,000 to $17,000 in a 3 month span on alcohol or alcohol related activities. As that was dwindling down, I dipped into the last little bit of savings I had to go to Miami for a party or for a birthday celebration. While I was there, we did so much drinking. Fun time for the people who can handle it, but the worst time for me. Now, I say that the worst time for my health, the best time, because I was having a really good time. It was fun just being around and hanging out. But to what expense? My body and my brain. It got to the point where I think I only had like 2 meals within the span of 4 days. Just like pieces, nibbling here and there, maybe sat down for dinner once and actually ate. I had to keep drinking because if I didn't drink, I just felt more sick. And it got to day 3, the night before we left, where I was throwing up all day, but I didn't have anything but alcohol. So when all that liquid came up, there was nothing coming up. I'm just throwing up, just dry heaving, and eyes gonna pop out, to the point where I told everybody I have to I'm going to the room and I can't, like, I'm done. And so finally I'm throwing up here and there and there's traces of blood in it. And I'm laying down and I'm coughing and it's blood. But my throat, well, come to find out, it was my throat was so burned from straight shots and all the alcohol that I never gave my throat a chance to heal. So it was just raw, just like burning every time I took a shot, every time I had a drink, every time I did, anything alcohol or even any liquid, it would just hurt. And I was laying in that bed and shaking and cold sweats, just curled up in the fetal position. And people were trying to wake me up to go back out and drink. And I would try to stay up for a little bit. But I'm like, I have to go lay down. I don't feel good. I don't feel good. But they don't understand because they're so used to seeing me. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party. Let's take some shots. Let's chug a beer. That seeing me like this kind of seems like, oh, he's just trying to get off easy. But in reality, I'm really struggling. I'm really hurting right now. Like my chest, I feel like I'm dying. And when I'm laying there, I start thinking, what the heck did I just, like, where am I right now? What am I doing? I spent my last dime in Miami on alcohol. I have to go back to work. I have a 4-year-old daughter and I'm moving out in a month of my current apartment. What am I going to do? So now all these thoughts are racing on top of the pain that I'm feeling while I'm in Miami. And on that flight back, I just remember sitting there, and the whole time, the 2-hour flight, 2.5-hour flight, I'm just thinking, I need to check into rehab. And I told everybody I was going to check into rehab jokingly because of work. And I was nervous of what they would say or think about me. But deep down inside, I knew I wasn't going as a joke. I was going because I wanted to. And it wasn't my first time in rehab. Like I said, went to rehab twice forcefully. And this was the first time that I decided to go by myself.
And so I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. And it's going to sound like a hard question, but I think that it's probably a question that many people who have or are in a relationship with someone who is an alcoholic or an addict and has been to rehab a couple of times. This is going to sound hard, but I'm going to ask you the question. So while you are 52 days clean and sober, and that is huge, and congratulations.
Thank you.
How is being 52 days sober now any different than it was before? What's the difference? How could someone say to you, Jacob, you've been to rehab twice before, and yes, you were forced to go. This time is different because you decided to make that decision, but still, you get lonely. You miss the friends that you were hanging out with. You miss the drink. What makes it any different?
The big difference is, well, everything that I'm going to say is the big difference. I'll start with the first thing. I wanted to go this time. I saw the problem. I understood the problem, and I decided to go. The second thing is what it did to my health. When I got to rehab and I realized and I got my labs back, my liver levels were 3 times abnormal. My potassium was so low that they had to give me a huge boost, which I should be pretty good for a little bit longer on my potassium. And my throat was all raw. So the health of the aspect of it, and the mental and emotional part of it is, this time around when I went to rehab, I listened and I accepted everything that was told to me, whether I truly believed in it or I didn't. I needed to give everything a chance before I decided what I was going to pull with me on my way out. I spoke with a therapist in there, and we had a therapist, and I got to speak to frequently, and I'm sure she was tired of hearing me speak. But she was great. But the biggest thing is she afforded me the opportunity to speak without lecturing me on anything that I spoke to her about. Just speak, just to tell everything that I wanted to tell whenever I wanted to tell it. And then she asked certain questions that allowed me to use as tools to ask myself when I got out of rehab, so that when I'm dealing with, my loneliness or some anxiety or depressed or stress, I reiterate to myself those questions that she would ask me. And I found it easier now. These 52 days feels like years. It honestly does. There's a thing called the pink cloud in alcoholism, and Alcoholics Anonymous, that they tell you feel when you're first out of rehab, or or you detox, and you feel good, and you're on top of the world. And I understand what they mean by that, but this isn't my first rodeo. I know what that feeling feels like, and this is not the same feeling. This is me, who I'm now trying to master my emotions in my own brain with the tools that I learned in rehab, and the tools that I knew before that I just never used because I never needed to, or never felt the need to, because anything is just easier to just open up a beer can and drink that. But now that I'm not drinking, I have to face a lot of things in life. I got to face those bill collectors. I have to face these relationships that I broke. I have to face, I'm raising a kid with a mother that I'm not with. So I can't be selfish in that. I need to make sure that I'm clear-minded to make, responsible and reasonable decisions to be a good co-parent. And so just being able to read yourself and allow yourself to understand, this is what's wrong with me. This is what makes me lonely. This is what makes me depressed.
We're going to commercial, but we'll be right back. I cannot wait to hear the rest of your story. And I know there are many people that have already commented that can't wait either. We'll be right back.
Accelerated Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Sweet Sand, Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Suite C in Burleson, Texas. Go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Out of date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered. When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
We are back. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 days a year on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to the tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. The Joco Community Radio app is now available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on the jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. Again, we thank you for joining us. And also, if you have family members or friends that are not on Facebook or social media, you can share this episode as soon as it is over by going to YouTube, and you can search No Judgment Here with Tish Ross, and it'll be there for you to share. We thank you again for tuning in. Jacob, you have a lot of comments here on this thread, and I'm going to read them out to you, and then we need to continue.
Okay.
Aaron Arredondo says hello.
Hey, Aaron.
Tiffany Hurd says, Jacob Rosario, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, Steph.
Aaron says that he loves you. Jennifer Nelms Walls is listening. She says she is so proud you are seeing it now, as I just lost my niece at 37 a month ago to liver failure. The addiction was so sad and just did not see the depth of it in her, and I miss her so much.
Sorry to hear that.
She also says that her niece would have never admitted that she had a problem. We all tried so hard to make her see. Brandon Eric says, respect, bro. And Jennifer says, thank you for sharing. I will be in prayer on your journey.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions for Jacob, please feel free to put them in the comments, or also share your love with him as well. Mary Ann Richardson Sanderson. Fam Bam says, hi, Jacob.
Hello.
All right, Jacob, go ahead and continue as you were sharing about when I asked, why is it different? And you were sharing also that now that you chose to go to rehab, and how the struggle is still real, and then how you cope with those things now that you're 52 days sober.
The biggest thing for that for me is I when I originally called the rehab center, I committed for 2 weeks. I think I extended a month and a half, or I extended an extra month. So 4 more weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, but I got out in 4 weeks. I did that because I was accepting everything that I was learning. And I liked that I was being honest and telling someone my story and not having to lie. It felt good not having to lie to anyone that was there. Because in my head, it was like, I'm never going to see these people again, which I hope I do now because I met some really nice and amazing people while I was there. And when it came to the therapist, I said, well, it's not like she can hurt me or use what I say to her against me. I'm leaving. She's in Florida. They're never going to see me again. It made me realize that back then, not so long ago, because I didn't stop drinking until like the 6th of May, or June. Yeah, May. I wasn't the best person. I wasn't as nice as I thought I was. I was a big time liar, and not a liar to the point where like, oh, did you steal $5 from me? Just very small, stupid lies for no reason. I manipulated a lot of relationships to benefit myself. And when I didn't need to do that or go to that extent, but I was protecting something, and I still haven't figured out what I was protecting. And I think that it might be that I was protecting alcohol more than relationships, because what it seemed to be is the common denominator is every relationship. If you ask anyone that I dated, they would probably tell you he would get drunk or lie about something stupid or cared more to go out and party or something along those lines. So the common denominator was alcohol. So it feels to me that I was protecting drinking and making excuses. Well, I'm just drinking because I'm watching sports. I'm just drinking because I had a hard day at work. I'm just drinking because I'm happy, sad, whatever it may be. I was just drinking because of it. And within that, I learned how to manipulate so that it's okay. So nobody really talks about my drinking.
Right.
A person my age, to anyone out there, if you're doing this, what I'm about to tell you, you need to reevaluate some things or self-reflect a little bit. It got to the point where I drink too much at home. I drink a lot at home before I go out, so I don't have to spend that much money out. But if I'm a responsible drinker, then 2 drinks at dinner shouldn't break the bank.
Right.
So why am I preparing to drink extra at home so I only have to spend $40 out? If I really had control, if I was really responsible and I was capable of drinking and stopping, that I wouldn't need to pre-game at home before I go out to a party, to the movies, to dinner. I would hide alcohol in my pockets to go to the movies sometimes. I would hide alcohol and sneak it into the clubs, order a soda. I mean, people do it. I've seen people do it all the time.
Right.
But no one calls them out because it seems like the normalcy, because drinks are too expensive. Drinks aren't too expensive. We just drink too much.
Right.
You know, drinks are what they're supposed to be. Food is too. Who pre-eats at home before they go out? I mean,
exactly.
Do you really eat? Let me have some appetizers at home so I don't eat too much at the restaurant. No, that's not a real thing.
Right.
Unless you drink. And then that's when I realized that whole part of my life I'm disgusted now that I review it, is like, I wasn't the best person that I can be at the time. And now that's why it's making this time around so much more easier. These 52 days, I say it feels like years because I'm thinking clear. Things are falling into place because I'm dealing with the key component first: myself, my emotions, and my brain, and my health.
Absolutely.
And before, I didn't think about that. I just thought, don't touch the drink and you'll be fine. No, because I didn't touch the drink. And then what happens when my grandfather passed away? That was after my DUI incident, after I was a year clean. I got drunk. After the funeral, we went out, we drank. I got in trouble. I got arrested. So no one trained me or taught me how to deal with these emotions and these sporadic outbursts when something happens at a split second. Things happen. Life is not perfect.
Right.
But it's how you deal with it that makes it perfect, or makes that, that interaction perfect. Because now walking around, everyone knows I have road rage. If someone cuts me off I talk to myself. It seems crazy, but like, my therapist would ask me questions when I'm speaking about something,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone thinks therapists, they're the people that say, well, how does this make you feel? No, it wasn't like that. It's how did you deal with the situation?
Mm-hmm.
And when I reflected on how I dealt with it, she would ask another question, and that question I take now. I use her questions, or both their questions, because I had two therapists, and I use it now when I'm driving or when I'm dealing with something. I try to repeat it, and I say it out loud, and my friends laugh, but I'm training myself how to deal with situations. If you don't help yourself or use the tools that you've learned, then you can't be successful. If you went to a job and they trained you how to operate a forklift,
Mm-hmm.
and you decided, nah, not for me, and you did your own thing and you mess up, there's consequences. You get fired, you can hurt someone or hurt yourself.
Right.
But when you use the tools already implemented for that situation of operating a forklift, you can be very successful,
Mm-hmm.
and everything will go smoothly, and you won't have a stressful day at work. And for me, my tools of operating my forklift, which is my life, is used with my therapist and counselors and groups and other people have told me or explained to me and taught me. And it makes it easier just to go about everyday life and not get stressed over stupid things.
And I love that. I love that you are talking actually about the therapist, because initially you were told, men, you don't express your feelings or your emotions. But what it sounds like is that someone who is having an issue with whatever it is, food, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, someone who is not expressing their feelings, but they're drinking and masking and numbing, that just because you quit drinking for a year, when something tragic happens and your only way to cope is to pick up a piece of pizza or drugs or alcohol, that you will never be able to stop
Mhm.
until you get to the root of the problem. And really, the only way that you can get to the root of the problem is by going and speaking with someone.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like your therapist was extremely important in your road to recovery and sobriety.
You have to be willing to accept things in your life. You have the good and the bad. When you accept the bad, then the good just becomes that much more easier to accept. It's harder to be angry in life. It's harder to be stressed out than it is just not be careless, because it is in our nature as animals to be self-aware and always on attack mode and like feeling like you're going to get attacked, because that's how you survived or you survive. But when you're willing to accept certain things that are going to happen regardless, and now you have tools to help you with that, to cope with those things, it makes living your everyday life easier. I am not perfect. I'm only 52 days sober. I'm not going to even say only. I'm 52 days sober.
Right.
That's a big thing for
It
me.
is a big thing.
And I accept it and I appreciate it and I love every moment of it. The being able to talk to myself and say, well, why, if something bothers me, being able to say to myself, was it that big of a deal? No, it's not that big of a deal. It's easier. Communication is easier. Luckily I have a support system, not a huge one, but I have one. Some family, my daughter's mom, her mom. And so it makes that a lot easier. Just being real and honest.
Mhm.
When you're real and honest, the communication is much more effective. And you start getting people, those bridges you burned, you might not be able to get them all back, but the new ones that you encounter, you can keep and hold just by learning yourself, learning how to deal with your emotions, and just being honest and admitting to yourself, especially as a man, that you have issues or you have, these problems in your head that you don't want to speak about. But what I would recommend to people who are afraid of therapists or not in that ready for that yet is write down, it sounds childish, but write down your feelings, your emotions. And when you're ready, read them out loud to someone who that you don't even need to trust them, just that you can feel that's not going to use it against you, as far as like, doesn't matter if they say anything because they don't know your name or they're not going to travel hundreds of miles to find you and ruin your life by telling
Right.
your deepest, darkest secrets. Someone is willing to listen. Just find that person. And if you haven't found that person yet, write that stuff down. Maybe you can have them read it, or you can read it to them when the time is right. Excuse me.
And one thing that I heard and was the only thing worse than changing, because you've changed. The only thing worse than changing is staying the same, right? Do you believe that? The only thing worse than changing is staying the exact same.
Well, what do you mean by that?
So, like you changing, if you didn't change, then you're going to be the same, and that's worse than what comes with change. Maybe changing friends,
Oh,
losing
yes,
friends,
absolutely.
losing
So-
family members.
Staying the same is not worth the struggle and the pain that you deal with every day that you might not even notice.
Mm-hmm.
The change comes with the loss of friends, family, places, things. And I've dealt with that, and I'm dealing with it now. It's not being able to call certain people because they're going out, and not having the amount of friends I had when I was drinking is nuts. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and someone was going to go hang out with me. Now today, maybe I can find a handful of friends that are available, and if they are available, they want to do other things because they had a long week at work. So, like I said, it's a day-to-day thing for me, and I'm still learning how to deal with the loneliness and stuff that comes with it. But I have a daughter, a beautiful, energetic, smart, loving girl, and when I have her, the days that I do have her, we can do fun things, and she has dad's attention because I'm now focused.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hungover from the night
Mhm.
before and then having to go pick her up. I'm not lethargic because I binged for a week and then I have to get her and she wants to go play, but I'm tired because I've been drinking all week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to have the finances to go take her places and do fun things. So those changes, it's worth it. It comes with a loss, but it comes with much more than you lose.
Yes.
It takes time before I know I know it takes time. There's going to be more people that come into my life, so I won't be lonely. But at this moment, I am lonely, and and I'm okay with that because I understand that it's for the better.
Right.
And this is only temporary.
Mm-hmm.
This too shall pass. And these things, it's a phase, and each part of the phase comes with a different struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, loneliness is my struggle. Next month might be missing out on certain things like birthday parties and graduations. That's going to be a struggle. And then, the friends that are going to come and go, and the boundaries that I have to set with people that I love that I haven't set yet because I'm still figuring out a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actively going to AA meetings, and I have a sponsor, but the biggest thing I'm focusing on is myself right now, and just trying to really get myself in a schedule and really master my brain and master my emotions, because it feels great to be able to freely make a decision and make a choice and have a conversation knowing that I'm not bullshitting someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bullshitting myself. And I don't care what I say to you, because whatever you try to use against me, I've already used against myself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't hurt me more than I've already hurt myself my whole life. So now the biggest goal for me is stay sober, build more relationships and strong relationships, express to the people who I hurt that I'm sorry. And I hope, and that's all I can say, and just change with my action, because sorry is not enough for some of the situations that I've dealt with in life.
Sure.
And disappointments that happened in my life. But I know that the action that is to come will hopefully give them enough satisfaction to say, I forgive him.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's many situations and relationships that I've damaged because of my insecurities, my drinking, and just not being able to deal with what's going on inside of my head.
Mm. So what would you say to a man, a woman that is listening right now, that is struggling to get sober, or struggling to stay sober? And we are not doctors, but what would you say to someone who's just barely hanging on?
You need to find someone or something that gives you the motivation to keep your journey going in sobriety or getting sober. if you cannot find the thing or the person, then you need to find it within yourself. And if you can't find the person, then I'm willing to sit here and say, come contact me. I'll be that person for you. I'll be that person that you can open up to and share whatever you want to share. And I'll be more than happy to just to be an ear for you or give advice from where I'm at, because that's all I'm good for is where I'm at in life. I can't give you what's to come because I'm not there yet, but I can give you to where I'm at, and I can give you, the attention and the resources needed that I'd use to help myself. This is a game and a battle that you play with yourself. It's not the world. You're not in my opinion, and people might get mad at me, you're not in a battle with alcohol. You're in a battle with yourself and how yourself deals with the alcohol when you consume it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us can't have just one or just a sip. That's not the alcohol's problem. The alcohol's sitting there. We picked it up.
Right.
You have to acknowledge that, and you have to have more self-awareness. When you have that self-awareness, now you have to figure out, how do I master this stuff? Therapy, rehabilitation centers, finding people who have been there, done that, and are still going. You want to find people who, if you're 32 days sober, find someone who's 60 days sober, a year sober, and find someone who you can relate to, because not everyone you're going to be able to relate to. It's just not that. Just because we're sober doesn't mean everything's all grand and dandy and we love everybody. No,
Right.
You still like who you like and relate to who you relate to.
Right.
It's going to take some searching, but first you have to search within yourself and accept everything, the good, the bad, the ugly of what you've done and who you are. And then search for those tools, do your research, find the people, because there's people everywhere. There's people everywhere. And just really dig deep and trust that it will get better, because it will get better once you start putting into motion everything that you've learned and that you're going to acquire.
And it is day to day, because it is such a huge change from your norm. I mean, you might lose friends, you might find a new career. I don't think that it is worth going back to the old. I mean, and like you're on this journey of learning, relearning, or learning maybe for the first time how to deal with that loneliness, and knowing that in your mind, you can make the decision, the choice to what which leads to nowhere but down, or to using the tools that your therapist has given you. And I look forward to finding out what vacation's going to be like for you, what going and watching a football game is going to be like for you. The weekends, what is that? What are the weekends like for you?
I against advice of people who've been there, done that, and medical staff. The weekends I try to keep normal as I used, things that I like to do with limitations and boundaries. I still go to some of the places that I like to go eat or watch a sporting event or hang out. I change who I go with, where I sit, and when I leave. I found that to be very, very useful and helpful in my sobriety, because if I was just to sit in my room and say, you are an alcoholic, you cannot go out because if you see alcohol, you're going to drink, that would drive me to drink more than just going out and passing it. It's everywhere. You can't hide from it.
Right.
So you have to, in my opinion, learn how to deal with it, being around with it. Some people might have to lock themselves down for 6 months. I am in a stage in my life where I don't need a lockdown from, not seeing it. I just need to learn how to maneuver around it, because it's going to be in front of my face. So I still go out and do certain things. I don't do everything, but the big thing is I don't go with the same people. I don't go with the same mindset. I'm not like, let's go party. I'm saying earlier, let's go have dinner, or let's go have lunch, or let's go do a fun activity. I've done some fun activities with people who I used to drink with, who we've gone and didn't drink while we were there, and so that's been helpful as well. But it's day to day, and it's tough, but it's completely worth it.
Yeah. And I know that we're almost out of time, but are you getting to find out who you really are? I mean, what things that you really like to do, who Jacob really is without drinking?
Yes. Not all the way, because I think there's a lot going on in my head. So
Mm.
I love a lot of things, but I definitely like the new me.
Mm.
I'm not even going to say new me. I like who I am,
Mm-hmm.
sober, and not influenced by people, places, things, and especially alcohol. Being able to make these choices on my own, and everything I do now, especially with this mindset, I'm more grateful for, and I respect myself, and I respect my feelings, and I respect that I can trust myself to make a decision and not regret it.
Mm.
And so I'm grateful, and I'm happy, because I know that the relationships to come are going to be much more different than I've ever experienced in my life, because I now know, can accept and acknowledge everything that's going on, and not manipulate situations, and respect people for who they are, respect myself. And it's just going to go a long way. And I know that, and I'm grateful and happy for when it does happen. I'm just not going to rush it to happen, because I don't want it to fall to pieces. I'm just going to let everything just come as it goes. And it's a big change, and it feels great. And I wish we had more time.
I know.
Maybe we'll have to do a second episode.
I think so. We may have to, because you have some amazing insight on human relationships. Some stories that you shared with me with regards to how you interact now with people that are homeless, and how that is completely different than it was before. I would love to do a part 2, because I want to see where you're at in a couple of weeks or a month or whatnot. And I'm sure that there are people that are listening now that might have their wheels turning, and maybe some questions may pop up. So I believe that it would be a great idea to have you come back and
For sure.
and to continue to share. That Mike Ross says it's day to day, and it will be for the rest of your life. And we're going to bring you back, because there's so much more. But I thank God for you. I do. I thank God for your life, and I thank God for you coming and sharing. I know that you have changed lives. You may not ever know about it or hear about it, but you have. Thank you so much, Jacob.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good night.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County,